Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our Woman Who Inspire series. I am Sreshtha. I am the director of Self-Worth Empowerment and Leadership Consultancy. I am also a wholeness guide and a motivational speaker. And in this series, we speak to women who have gone through an emotional journey with what we deem as negative emotions, such as sadness, anger, bitterness, pain. And we hear their story on how those emotions pushed them either to a bigger purpose, a better place in life, or just a better place in their own human body. Today, I am really excited to welcome my good friend, Yashi Carrington. Yashi is a PCOS Positivity Coach and a strategist with the Women's School. She is the mind behind the Mind of Yash platform. Academically, Yashi holds a BSc in Chemical Engineering and an MSc in Environmental Science and Management. Welcome to our series, Yashi. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Shresh. And I am great. Really excited to be here with you today.
Yes, I am really excited to have you. Yash has done a lot of amazing things, especially for women who suffer with PCOS. And you're going to hear about that story and her journey to that place in about 30 seconds. So, Yash, I invite you to tell your story of emotional healing.
Thank you so much, Sreshtha, for that question. So when I was diagnosed with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, I was just 18 years old. And it's been a while since then. I just recently turned 35. But when it first happened to me, I didn't understand the weight of the condition. When you get diagnosed back in those days, they usually tell you, and actually even up to recently, some persons tell you that, come back when you want to get pregnant, you just need to lose weight and different things like that. So I didn't realize exactly how that condition was going to affect my life. And now that I look back on that journey, I realized that it really did get into the different spheres of my life. So firstly, it really got into my relationship with my husband, because as you know, when you have this condition, you have some fertility struggles and that thing. But even in the beginning, we weren't really thinking about that. We were very young, children were like a very far thought. But as time went by and we got married, some years later, it started to weigh on me a little bit more. Like, would I be able to have a child? How could I help him become a father and those things? So it really affected us in that way. Not that he gave any pressure or any sort of thing like that, but just me feeling like this is something that I was supposed to do. And of course, now that I look back, it's like, that is not defined who you are as a woman. But then it really did take a toll on me. And of course, the other things, like the other symptoms that you have, because PCOS is a metabolic reproductive condition, you have other things that could affect your self-image. You always feel fatigued, you have excess hair growth in places that you don't really want, and then you have hair loss in the places that you do want. You have, struggles with your weight and all these different things. And I didn't realize that even if I may not have been verbalizing it, that I was internalizing that these things were me. Like, my worth was in the fact that, my hair was falling out and these different things. And it was a condition that I felt a bit embarrassed about. I felt even guilty because I felt like maybe I did something to bring it on to myself. And so I didn't share about it a lot. And even like that, even, be kind of suffering alone, feeling like you're alone, really got to me emotionally, because I couldn't share. The only person I really could have told anything to was my then boyfriend, now husband. And even he too couldn't always understand, the effects and the things I was going through. So it was a really tough time for me during those years, if I'm really honest, Sreshtha.
So it's interesting how you tell the story, right? Because you are diagnosed with the PCOS, and you speak about how you internalized the effects of that condition on your body and how it affected your self-worth, like your hair falling out. And you speak about how you felt embarrassed and guilty, even thinking that you did something wrong, even though you didn't. It is a condition that it's not a lifestyle condition. So it's a condition of your body. How long did it take you to process that feeling of what was happening? And what did you do in processing those feelings, the embarrassment, the shame, and not the shame, the embarrassment and the guilt?
Yeah, but it's funny you say shame as well, because I think there was an aspect of that as well. But I didn't process these things for years. So I told you I was diagnosed when I was 18. I really only started coming to terms with it maybe, so my daughter is going to be 4 this year, so I would say just about 4 years. And she was really the catalyst for me starting to process these feelings, because I realized that, PCOS has a genetic factor in it. So there is always the possibility that she may be diagnosed with it also, though I pray that she doesn't have to struggle with that. But there is a genetic factor. And I wanted to start to implement certain habits so she could have it and she could make better decisions, because even though I didn't cause PCOS, there are certain things, environmental factors that could be triggers. They still need to do a lot more studies to understand exactly, where it comes from, the cause, what really brings it on, because it affects each woman so differently. But I had that in my mind. And some of the other things that were brought on by PCOS, which I didn't realize at the time exactly, the emotional things and the mental things like anxiety and, bouts of depression and those things. PCOS was one part of it, but also the habits that I had at the time also kind of exacerbated, the symptoms for me. So when I had my daughter, I realized, I didn't want her to have to suffer through this. And I wanted her to start learning, how to deal with these type of things. And so I went on that journey to start educating myself and becoming the person that I wish I had when I was first diagnosed. And it really kind of snowballed into this whole thing when I started producing content. And I actually started blogging first. And I realized that the articles that were resonating more with my audience was when I talked about PCOS. So it really started with her. So just about 4 years, not even a total 4 years, is when I started to realize, wait, this thing that I have to deal with in life, which I know now is not me, PCOS does not equal Yashi, but I was living life as though that Yashi equals PCOS. And so I really started to process the feelings that I was having. And I realized that when I started sharing my story with other persons, I started to feel more free. I didn't feel as embarrassed. I didn't feel as guilty. And I was starting to find my tribe. And the thing that impacted me the most, Sreshtha, was that I had persons in my close circle who were dealing with PCOS. And we were friends for years, close friends, and I had no idea. And that really struck me. I was like, no, we can't continue like this. We need to start talking about this more. One, so that we could start getting the help, the real help that we need. We start finding the resources and the people who can help us. And then just so that you don't feel alone, that you know that you have somebody, you're not wishing PCOS on everybody, but it is actually so common that 1 in 5, 1 in 10 women that could be dealing with PCOS. So that alone really made me feel like, I need to start looking at this as an opportunity for us to band together to get the information and the support that we need to deal with something like that.
Yeah, I like that you talk about how long it took you, because it really took you more than 10 years, because you weren't really self-aware, I would say, but you became aware when you had your daughter and you realized, wait, you don't want her to have this condition that you have. She may or may not have it, but you started thinking about what can you do to ensure that whichever way it goes, that she is taken care of in terms of the knowledge behind it. And it's amazing that you speak about how when you started to share on it, your own friends in your circle were going through it. And that is the power of telling your story and sharing your story, because as women, we feel that we go through things and nobody else is going through it. All of these feelings that we go through, that we feel ashamed that we're going through it. We're ashamed when we're crying. We feel guilty about things. We think nobody else is going through it. But the fact is, there are so many people going through it. The person might be sitting right next to you in your office, or the person you're talking to every day, but we don't bring up those things. And I like that you spoke about that, Yash, because there is so much power in just speaking what is going on in your mind. And it is even more powerful when you find someone who affirms what you are saying, who say, I'm going through that exact same thing. And then you're able to talk about how you can get through and get past that. So having identified all of that, Yash, tell us how you landed with the Mind of Yash platform and becoming a PCOS Positivity Coach.
Yeah, when I think about that, it really amazes me, because I really just started wanting to figure out, how to start doing things that I'm passionate about, and to be able to find an avenue where I could spend more time with my daughter, right? So you can see she was a catalyst for a lot of things. And I just started blogging in 2019. I felt like writing was something that I had as a passion when I was younger, that I kind of pushed to the side to pursue other things. And so I started blogging, and it was enjoyable. And as I shared earlier, when I realized that I was talking about different aspects of my life, but what was really resonating was when I spoke about, my health journey, especially with PCOS. And then I started doing a lot of self-development. So of course, the women's school came into play as well, because I discovered a strategist with the school, and I did training with them. And I eventually did coaching with her as well. And she was helping me, try to figure out what I want to do to start like an online business and these things. And she encouraged me. She said, she was seeing that I connect to people and that I was good on camera and these things. And she encouraged me to start doing a live show. And I'm like, I don't know how to even begin to do that. It's just amazing how that even developed as well, with my old iPad, and that, well, we could go into a whole other thing with just that alone, like how that went through, using diaper boxes as my laptop stand and all these different things. But I started doing that, and it was so amazing, the response that I got, because women were looking for that. They were craving, somebody who not was just talking at them, but talking with them, and who can empathize as well, because I was talking from a place that I knew the struggles with it. I knew the thoughts that you could have. I knew how it could affect your self-image. I knew how the critics from the outside, like you could be trying so hard, and then somebody would come to say something because they don't know, they don't understand it. And that could derail you, that could, break you down. So it evolved into that. And I realized I was like, you know what, I need to do things. I need to create content. I was able to host an amazing summit last year with wonderful speakers such as yourself, who came and spoke about different things that women with PCOS were dealing with. So, fertility, confidence, just finding a doctor that you could trust, different things like that. And then I realized that I had a love for just coaching these women, because sometimes you really just need somebody to be walking with you. Not necessarily, I'm not an expert in PCOS. I mean, I know a lot from my journey, and I learned so much from all the wonderful speakers and the connections that I was able to meet over the time. But I wanted to be a source of support where you could come and speak to me, and you could tell me what it is you want in your life, not just a healthy body. We all, we want that as well. But, your dreams that maybe a condition like PCOS made you think that you couldn't have. So I realized that there was a need for that. And so it kind of developed into that, where I started creating the content to help educate persons about PCOS, and to also find the resources, the different places they could go. And then now wanting to actually coach these women to help them really build a healthy self-image place. And that even even that was a pivot this year for me, because I realized that I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor. I am a fitness instructor, but I'm mostly a coach. So I really wanted to connect these women to these people, but I also wanted them to work on their self-image, because in my own journey, what I realized is that you could get all the information you want, and this is the option for you, this is what you should do to help. But if your self-image is not in a place it needs to be, if it's a healthy, positive self-image, you're not going to be consistent and you're going to keep falling off the wagon. So that's really where I want to help women like this.
Well, it's so powerful, your journey and your journey. The amazing thing with you is as you go on your journey, you are finding more and more things that you are passionate about, and you continue to learn and you continue to evolve. But from your story, I really want the audience to see how something could plague you and you don't really understand how bad it is plaguing you until you think or see how it may affect someone you love, particularly your children. And if you're a mother, I know you could completely relate to that, and how that discomfort and that fear can push you to do something so purposeful and so powerful that it would not only impact the person you love, but a much wider audience, maybe even a bigger audience than you can ever dream of. And even with that push, you continue to develop and find other things that you are passionate about that can affect and help women. Well, this is in Yash's story, but it is such an amazing story about how you used your emotions that were making you uncomfortable to really do something extremely powerful that you were not necessarily initially comfortable with, but you figured out how to do it. You followed your intuition, as you said, and now you are known as the PCOS Positivity Coach. So I want to ask you, is there anything you would tell your younger self coming out of this?
Gosh, I feel like there's so much. I would tell her not to worry, because that exacerbates the symptoms, one. But things really do work itself out. And you really need to believe in yourself and trust in yourself. When I look back, I realized that there's so many spots, and it is not just related to PCOS alone, but just in general, that I had a gut feeling, or I knew something there, but I doubted myself. That your heart and your mind always have that conflict sometimes. And I really want to tell that younger person, it's like, things are going to work itself out. Believe in yourself, trust in your intuition, trust in God, trust in the process. Because I realized I also was very impatient. So I had to learn that that's not something I was very self-aware about before. I thought I was the most patient person, but I realized that I really wasn't. So just be patient, do what you need to do, for your health, for your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. But trust in yourself, and things will work itself out.
Yes, that's so beautiful. So, Yash, I really want to thank you for coming on our series as a woman who inspires. And if you all don't know, Yash is a person who inspired me to do the first series that I had, the Domestic Abuse Awareness series. So you can see the rippling effect of when you follow your intuition, not only in your own life, but in the life of others. If anything with Yash resonates with you, I'm going to leave all her information in the description box below. So feel free to reach out if you would like to contact her. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.